We begin the service, the Peikov and Achron, for Malka Chana, Basra Pinchas. We begin with 3 Kapitlach Tehillim. Ashrei Oish Asher lo yolach b'asas Rishayim, u'v'derech ha'toyim lo yomod, u'v'moshav leitzim lo yoshav, ki im b'saris adonai cheptzoi, v'sirosoi yehege yomam v'loyla. V'hoyo ke'eich rasul apal gemoyim asher pir yo yitein b'yitoi, v'alehu lo yiboil v'chol asher yaseh yatzliach. Loichen or Rishayim, ki im kamoitz asher tidfen ruach, al kein lo yikumu Rishayim b'mishpat, v'chatoyim b'adas tzadikim, ki yodei Adonai derech tzadikim, v'derech Rishayim toived. Kapitel Tezvav, Mizmor LeDavid Adonai, mi yogur b'oyo lecha, mi yishkoim b'har kachecha, hoylech tamim u'foyal tzedek, v'dever emes b'lvavai, le'rogal al l'shonai, le'asol le're'eu ra, v'cherpel le'nas al krevai. Nivze bein of nimas, v'sirei Adonai yechabed, nishba l'hora lo yomer, hasper le'nasan b'neshech, v'sheichat al noki le'lokach, v'yisa eile le'yimot le'olam. And Kapitel Chav Gimel, Mizmor LeDavid Adonai roi lo yechsor, V'nois deshe yarbitzeni al me'menuchas yina'aleni. Nafshi yishavev yancheni b'magle tzedek l'man shemoi. Gam ki elech b'geitz al moves lo iro ro ki ato yimodi. Shiftecho mishantecho heimo yinachmuni taroich lefanai shulchan neged soireroi dishanto v'Hashem en reishi kaisi revoyo ach toi v'chesed yidefuni kol yimei chayoi v'shavti b'beis harinoi lo'irech yomim. And as it's appropriate for such a wonderful woman, we say the Eishes Chayil. Eishes Chayil mi yimso v'rochoik mipnine michro botach bo le'balo v'sholo lo yechso. Kim la'aseu toi v'lo yiro kol yimei chayeho dar shotzemeru fishten v'chas v'chefetz kapeho. Hoysek ani yoisoicher mimerchak tobi lachmo v'atokom v'oid lailo v'atiten teref l'veiso v'choik v'nariseho. Zomos odevat ikacheyu v'pi kapeo noter chorem choger bo'ez mosneo v'tameis zroiseho. Ta'amo ki tev sachro le'yichve v'lailo neiro yodeo shulchan v'kisho v'chapeo tom chufolech. Kapo personally oni v'yodeo shulchan le'ebyoin le'siro le'beisa misholek ki choveso lovush shonim. Marvadim oseso lo sheish v'argomon v'gusho noide b'shorim ba'alo v'shiftoi in ziknei oretz. Sog oseso v'timkor v'chagor nosno laknani oiz v'hodo levusho v'tischak v'yem acharein. Pia pascha v'chachmo v'seres chesed al l'shoino tzefia haliches beisa v'lechem aslus lo'iseichel. Kamu v'nao v'yashrua balo v'halalo rabois bonos osel v'ato lis al kolono. Sheker hachein v'hevel ha'yofi Isha yiras ha'inoi hi sishalol Tnulo mepriyodeo yihalua v'shorim maseo. We have a pretty tight schedule today. We have Mr. Lipman, his sons, Rabbi Katz and Rabbi Feitman, will be addressing us. And as the Gemara says, that the real reason, the purpose of a hesped is for everybody to understand, first is to cry, to understand the loss that we have. Although we don't understand, and that was the bracha of Dayan HaEmes, although we may have questions, but we know that Hashem has his reasons, and Chas v'Sholom, to think that Malka Chana lived a short life. She lived a life of fulfillment, and she lived as long as HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted her to fulfill her mission on this world. As she accomplished her mission, she went up to the Kisei HaKoved. We, especially our community who has suffered in recent days, we have suffered from younger people passing away. We have to keep our amunah, we have to keep our faith very strong. And we have to know that although we might come up with answers, if you should have done this, if you didn't do that, every person, the day they're born, before they're born, 40 days of Yitzudas Blood, is already decided how long you live and what kind of life you're going to live. And Baruch Hashem, she lived a life of fulfillment. She accomplished everything that she needed to accomplish. We have it wrong, but it's the minhag ha'olam. The normal way is when a baby is born, everybody's excited. And people bring balloons and flowers, and when a person passes away, we're sad. I know from my great-grandfather grew up in America, and he went on a boat. It took him 3 weeks to go to Eretz Yisrael to learn in yeshiva. When he left, everybody said goodbye to him, and everybody was smiling and waving. And when he got there at 2 o'clock in the morning. Nobody was there waiting for him. And back then, we're talking about close to 100 years ago, there were so many stories of boats not making it. The ship doesn't get there. People come on board and take over the ship. Really, it should be when you arrive, everything, your journey, the 3-week journey on the water, where there could be so many terrible things that could happen. You arrive everybody should be there greeting you and waiting for you. But it wasn't so. The emphasis is when somebody is born, everybody is excited, but we don't know what kind of life they're going to live. Are they going to have an effect on other people? Are they going to make this world a better world? Or chas v'shalom, the opposite. When a person passes away, and you could say, everybody could say, this is a testimony that she did fulfill her mission. She did live a life of fulfillment. She did live a life that every day was counted. Every hour had 60 minutes. She helped others. She had an impact on others, and she made this world, a better place. If you know, it's something to when you malaver her, when you escort her to the next world, you know that she has done everything that she needed to do. And I mean, chas v'shalom to say it's a celebration, but that's what other people are using these days. But it's something to understand that she's not sad. She's happy. She's going up, and she's going to get recognition, and she's going to get schar, she's going to get reward for everything she has done. And the Gemara refers to children as the feet of their parents. Bro kara davua literally means the son is the feet of the father, but it's not just the father, and it's not just the sons, it's everybody who she had a positive impact. Everybody that she has made their life better. Especially her children, grandchildren, husband, sister. It has a ripple effect. Everything you do has an effect on your mother. Chas v'shalom to the negative as well, but we want to focus on the positive. When you do a mitzvah, just like you get schar, your mother brought you into this world, she gets schar. And they say on the yard site, although it could be a day, if you look at it from a regular way of looking, you say, I can't believe a year has passed, I can't believe a second year has passed. But if you look at it from a different perspective, the day of a yard site is a day like a Rosh Hashanah. They get called into the Beis Din Shel Marla, to the heavenly court. And they'll look at the neshama and they'll see how much has the neshama grown from 1 year to the second year. And that growth is not up to her doing, because she's not able to do any more mitzvahs. It's all what her family, children, grandchildren, friends, and so many things that the people who are friends with her, from tzedakah, from trying to emulate her good ways, from midas taivas. Sometimes we like to answer back when somebody insults us. And you think, and you stop for a second, you ask yourself, what would Marla do? Would she respond, or she would be quiet? Somebody cuts you off. You know, we all are on the road, and we do see crazy people there. And if you stop and you do one thing in her memory, because she taught you this elevates her neshama. It gives her neshama an aliyah. And every year on the yard site, although from one perspective it's a sad day, it's the happiest day for her, as she gets higher and higher in the Ilam HaEmes, whatever that means. In order for us to really understand the loss that we have today, and to try to learn from her ma'asim tovim, from her great values, I'd like to ask Rabbi Katz to please come and speak to us. Then we'll ask Rabbi Feitman. Then the family will ask Mr. Lipman and his sons. As we come to mourn Marla Basra Pinchas, not only are we here to say her milas, to say her virtues,
also the purpose is to learn from what she taught. She taught outstanding lessons to her family and friends. And our mission is to adapt those miles in order that Shishitaka can hire Madregas in Olam Haba. Malkachana Basrutenchas has much to say about her. I'd just like to point out two outstanding nakudas that she had, two outstanding points that she had. We should learn from it. The Torah tells us, when Hashem is about to destroy the cities near Sidon, Vayizkor Elokim, Hashem remembered, as Avram, Hashem remembered Avram. Vayishlach es Loit b'toicha hafeicha. Hashem remembered Avram, and that's why he saved Lot. It's very difficult to understand. It should have said, when Hashem remembered Lot, what's it got to do with Avram? So Rashi says, Niska, he remembered the whole story with Lot. Because Lot, Yodea Shesora Ishtoi Shal Avram. Sarah knew that. Lot knew that Sarah was the wife of Avram. But V'shama Shama Avram b'Mitzrayim Sarah Chaysihi. And he had heard, he was standing there when Avram said that Sarah was his sister, not his wife. And he kept his mouth shut. Lo Gila. He didn't reveal the truth. So because of that, Hashem had Rachmanas on him, and therefore Hashem saved Lot. Hashem remembered what Lot did for Avram, and therefore he saved Lot. The question is, he didn't do anything so great. Who would reveal when she's in jeopardy, when she's in a tzara, when she's in danger, standing in front of Mitzrayim? Who would reveal that really it's a mistaken identity? That she's really a wife, and doom her, and she would die, they would kill her. It's no big thing what he did. How could he betray Avraham Avinu, who was his Rebbe? You don't reveal these things. This thing you keep quiet, because otherwise the person's going to die by being by power. So he actually didn't do a great thing. But the answer is, it doesn't make a difference if you do a big thing or a small thing. It's who you connect yourself to. If you connect yourself to Avram, even though you do a small thing, that's big, because you connected yourself to Avram. Lot he did tremendous things. He did do outstanding things in Sidon. However, who was it for? It was for Sidon. So it's not such a great thing. But he did for Avram. Since he did for Avram, even though it was a small thing, connecting yourself to outstanding people, that's the first step in life, and it shows your greatness. It has nothing to do if it's big or small. Depends who he did it for. If he did for Avram, he did outstanding things. This is Mashma from Chatzkel Everstein, Lopiana, Rebelli Yeshvei, this Mahal. Marla, Malkachana Bas Pinchas. She grew up here in Cleveland Heights. Who did she connect herself to? To outstanding families. That's who she connected herself to. She didn't live the life of the secular world. She was on the Steig mode. She was going up, and she was connecting herself to great people. The Blochs, others, that she connected herself to. This is a lesson we have to learn from her. Who do you hang around with? Who do you go to? Who are your friends? Who are the people that you emulate? Who do you look up to? Stam people or always search to go up to the next level. You search to hang around with the right people, to be with the right people. That was one Marla that we have to learn from her. And everybody, doesn't make a difference the age. She did it in her teens. And even if it's unfortunately a person hasn't been exposed or hasn't thought about it, and they're already in the upper levels of life, still no problem to change. A person should try to connect themselves to greater people. One outstanding Marla she had. Then there's another major point. The Gemara asks, how do women, how are they zoich? The question is this, to what? How are they zoich to Torah? How do they connect to Torah? They're not commanded to learn. So, how do they reach Torah? How do they reach that level? Now, what does Torah reach? Torah reaches Olam Haba. Torah reaches, garners for a person Chiyas HaMeisim. Lapian and the Shmuz, Tzimashim are also Torah Olam Haba. Different ways I understand it. But the bottom line is, you got to connect to Torah in order to get the higher things. So the Gemara says, because she helps her husband, she helps her children to learn. She waits for her husband at home when he comes back from learning, and she facilitates it, and she helps the children do homework and make sure that the children grow up the way they're supposed to grow up. So you see there's a connection to Torah. That's how she grows. And the Marami Prabhu's brother asks, what do you mean? She has plenty of mitzvahs. Mitzvahs that are not time related. And all the licenses that she kept. So, you see from here, Rabbi says, and they all say, you see from here, the only way to attain higher levels is only through Torah. It's the only way to attain higher levels. Malkachana Basa Pinchas, she always pushed Martin out to learn. She brought up beautiful children, pushed them to learn, took care of them, made sure that they learned, and made sure that they connected to higher levels of Yiddishkeit. She was one that made all that happen. No matter what. Learning was precious to her. That's what you see from this Gemara, and you see from her, that the way a person connects to higher things, the way a person values these things, that is the way a person gains higher levels. Just look at her children. Avrami, I remember Avrami coming around all the time. Remember Sarah, I knew when she was a kid, but she married Josh. He's always around, Beis Medrash. And then there's Aaron. Aaron became a Marbitz Torah. Can you imagine? She pushed that, supported it, all the way to the end. Marbitz Torah. He's the one that's disseminating Torah to the world. He's the one that's making sure that the next generation keeps on going. With such miles that she had. Such outstanding values. That's what we have to learn from. That'll be the schus for her. Of course, everything else that Rabbi Kushner spoke about is a tremendous list. But choose good friends. Not only choose good friends. She chose good friends. That's what we should do. And she pushed for a goal, a higher goal. The family represents tremendous miles. We should learn from it as well. They learn from her. And the more we learn from them, it'll be a bigger schus for her. It'll be a tremendous schus for her neshama. As years go on, and we emulate that, and we do that, it'll be much schus for her neshama.
tell us that geography, physical distance doesn't matter when hearts are connected. Our connection, my Rebbe and I, with Martin and Malka Chana, Basra Pinchas, and Marla Shalom, go back four long decades of connection, of affection, of loyalty that we felt from the Lipmans, and the connection with the children, Sadara, with Avrami, with Aaron. When I found out, I've already had the opportunity to speak to Rami on the phone, and Aaron, and of course to Martin. This is a lifelong connection. Because of Martin, but of course, Marla had that connection with us, and had shyness in connecting to family and friends, and I speak today as a friend of the family. Rabbi Kantor Gesundheit spoke about Marla's connection to the family in Tzaddikim. The Rebbe says that he reminds me that Isha Shanamis, the woman that brought about in one of the rare cases until Mashiach comes of Tchias HaMesim and Haftarah of Parashas Vayera, it was because she established a relationship with the Navi. And the Navi Elisha used to come to the house, and she said, you know what? This is a holy man. Let's make a place in a room in our house so that whenever he comes through, he comes to us. That was the house that Marla built together with Martin Zolzang Gesund. I may have asked Roshana Plus. They built a house of Torah, a house connection to Gedolei Yisrael. But I just want to focus on one or 2 points that I remember, that my Rebbe remembers about Marla, that, as we said before, as everybody said, we can learn from. This is Shabbos Shira. And the women had a special Shira, Vatanla and Miriam, Shira Hashem Ki Goy Go Sus Varech Barama Bayam. The first should ask a number of questions. One of them is that Miriam, it sounds like it's machlokes in the Midrashim, if she said the whole Shira or not. From the pasuk, it seems like she only said this one pasuk. Shira Hashem Ki Goy Go. So there's an extraordinary Medrash Tanchuma that says as follows. So the man sang a shira, and the women wanted to. Because of them we got out of Mitzrayim. Because of women like Marla and Metz Hashem, we're going to get out of this fellas. All that she accomplished. So what happened? The Malachim complained, they said, "Light the shira, please don't sing. It's enough that Moshe Rabbeinu and the men sang before us. They felt somehow hurt that the women are also going to sing it ahead of them. So what did Miriam do? Miriam could have said all sorts of stuff. She could have said, well, we're human beings, we come first. We're greater. So also machlokes in the Midrash, who's greater, human beings or malachim. But not only she didn't complain, but she made shalom and she said, and she apparently, according to at least one opinion in the Medrash, she toned it down, not to embarrass the Malachim. They only sang this one pasuk of Shiva Hashem Ki Goy V'Asus V'Ras V'Rama Bayom. What do we learn from over here? That Miriam was a tzaddikus, and she could have tried to say, no, we go first. Human beings are better. On the contrary, what she did was, she gave in, she made shalom, and she moved on. All the years, that's how I felt, and my Rebbe felt about Marla. She was a peacemaker, a person that tried always to bring shalom into her home. And indeed, it was a wonderful home, and it still is a wonderful home. Only she's missing, but her spirit will be there, her ruach will be there. And I say there to Sarah, to Avrami, to Aaron, and to their spouses. You know, you brought into the world, she was a grandmother of 12. It's almost like the Shvatim. As Hashem's Baruch, there'll be more. It's Hashem. The family should continue to blossom and to grow. But right now, it's as if she created the base Yisrael of the Shvatim. That's from the Parsha. And I want to learn something from Haftarah for a moment also about Marla, about Malka Chana Bas Pinchas. It says, Devara Eishes, Isha Mevia Eishes Lapidos, Shoftas Yisrael. How did she become a Shofet? All the other Shoftim were men. There were only Zayin, Nevi'os, there's Memches, Nevi'im, a few women that were Nevi'os. How did she become a Shofet that Klal Yisrael listened to? The time of the Be'elio says an amazing thing. He says as follows, Zelio Anavi. So when she did all sorts of things, one of them was she convinced her husband to make thick wicks for the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash. And he did. He delivered them. He brought them to the Beis Hamikdash. And it was a big zechus for her husband, for Klal Yisrael. So Amal Adivayra, Kadosh Baruch Hu said, Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Medrash says, Beichen Kloyos, Levi Sekloyos. If I remember correctly, that means that Kadosh Baruch Hu sees everything that's inside of a person. He said, Amal Adivayra, you wanted to do something good, but see you wanted to bring great light to Klal Yisrael, to the Beis Hamikdash. And I saw the Israel, of Yehuda, B'shnei Maser Shiftei Yisrael. The Shnei Maser Shvatim, Klal Yisrael will gain from you, Devorah. Kadosh Baruch Hu raw away. Kadosh Baruch Hu saw what was in her heart. Malka Chana Bas Pinchas had a great heart. She had a wonderful heart. That's when she was alive and everybody was able to gain from her heart. And imagine now she's up in Shemayim. She's going to be a Melitza Yosher for Martin, for the children, for the grandchildren, for the great-grandchildren, for everybody. And why? Because she had that great heart. It says about the Melech Yisrael, the king of Klal Yisrael. What is he? Is he brilliant? Is he a great strategy person? Is he a person that has the legions of armies? The Rambam says, L'vav L'vav Kol Yisrael. Malka Chana Bas Pinchas was a queen. Just like there are kings, there are queens. And the queen over here was a person that cared about bringing light into Klal Yisrael. As we heard, the children that are learning, that are being Ma'amitz Torah, I have to say, I'm just adding a word, but I love all of the children. They were all doing the things that are good for Klal Yisrael. I was recently talking to somebody from Norfolk, Virginia, who was raving about Aaron, what he does for the community, what he does for his Talmidim, what he does for the families in Norfolk. Fellow just came back from Norfolk and he told me the story. That was before Mama passed away. And that's what we say now, that she was the person. I remember when my Rebbe we were talking, when Marla's mother passed away, how she took care of her, with care, concern. I must tell you, I'm sure everybody knows how Martin took care of her these last years. They were difficult times, but this was a relationship of love, of affection, of caring and of doing. That's what chesed is. Chesed means doing for others. As Rechaim Leloshen is quoted by his son Ravitzel, a person is created for others. She was a person that lived for others. I just want to add that these last times that she was so sick and suffered so much, and suffered with tremendous emunah, never complained, never has to show him, said anything bad about the Rebbeinu Shalom. On the contrary, was makabel. The Gemara tells us there are people that are bayit b'yisurim, they kick at their yisurim. That means that they reject what the Baruch Hu did. She was makabela, she accepted. I remember when I was in Cleveland, I heard once from Rabbi Brog, if I remember correctly, a Meister with his grandfather, which was Rabbi Miller, was at the Tzadik Nebracha. Rabbi Miller was going into surgery, and the doctor came out, the surgeon, he said, Rabbi, I got good news and I got bad news. Good news is you're a person for your age in great shape. You'll do well. The bad news is that this surgery comes with a lot of pain and you're going to suffer. Victor Mill was set up in the gurney. They said, Rabbi, you know, he said to everybody, he said, doctor, and everybody that was around him, he said, you should know, the more the better. The more suffering in this world, the lichtig Gan Eden, the absolute paradise that a person's going to have because they suffered in this world. We know so many Gedolei Yisrael that at the end of their lives, their suffering cleansed them. It irradiated their body and their soul so that they were able to go up to Gan Eden, to the world to come, clean, pristine, holy, and as innocent as when they were born. So again, one little thing, Martin told me, because I was that they didn't know that she was going to pass away now. She had a little bit of soup, and then all of a sudden didn't feel well. And then very soon after that, she passed away. First of all, Rabbi Yaina writes in Shari Tshuva brings a medrash that the last thing a person did was a bracha or a tefillah or a mitzvah. They go directly to Gan Eden. I think maybe we don't even need that. Marla suffered so much that she would go to Gan Eden immediately, just for the suffering and just for the midas that she had and just for the wonderful family that she brought into this world. But nevertheless, that bracha that she made was the last bracha, and it for sure got her into Gan Eden. There were Gedolei Yisrael that used to make a bracha. They asked for a drink. They made a bracha, and there Gedolei Yisrael that explained it. In this world they made a shakam yabid. But the bracha of Bar Nefashis is made, as it says, Bari Nefashis. Rabbi, Mechesroina, Akomasha Barasa, Vachias Bab Nefesh Kochoi. The Gura used to give a shmuz and Musar very unlike him, but sometimes he spoke very strongly in the Musar. And one of the people that was listening actually had a heart attack. When the Gura went to visit him, he said, you know, Rabbi, you caused this. Why? Because they were learning a very sharp sefer about the sufferings that will happen in the next world. And you had him. And the Gura delineated them. He was very graphic about it. The guy took it to heart, literally. So he had a time on the Gura. The Gura said, you know, you're right. What I forgot to mention is that that's only in this world. And the next world, the neshama jumps up and down and is thankful for every bit of suffering. And I know, as we knew Marla, she was a person that was a Kabbalist everything, the Savior born in the office. There was always that beautiful smile. Always who she was the acceptance of her fate. And that's the way that she passed away as well. That was her patira. And she should be a Relitza Yesher for her whole family, for Martin's on his own side, the children, the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, all the wonderful people that she brought into the world.
She didn't grow up in a religious household. She grew up in Lipman Heights, from neighborhood. She used to walk down to Taylor Rose Synagogue at the end of the street, meet a friend there, also not religious. And she'd walk back to her house. Next, 2 doors down from where she grew up, Bloch family lived, on Harriet Bloch. And they would see her walking by, and I guess they debated, should we do something? Should we do something? And finally, they came out and they invited her and said, would you like to come for lunch? And, she wasn't hungry at the time. No, what about next week? And, okay. And that started her on a path. And she learned from them as well that if you reach out to other people, then you can make a difference in their lives, just as they did to her. And that was something that she learned early on and carried her throughout her life. At a young age, 14, she developed diabetes, type 1 diabetes. Very, very difficult disease. And I knew that she had this when we met. My father said, when I'm talking about it, and we had a relationship, but, don't worry about it. You'll have good years. Down the line, they might not be so good, but you'll have good years and it'll be worth it. My father was both right and he was wrong. He was right, we had so many very good years. But he was wrong that at the end, it might be difficult, that would be hard. That might be the bad times, and they weren't. Very inspiring to me how she would always roll with the punches, with everything that she was faced with, that she met head on with strength. Even at the beginning, doctors told her, pregnant with Sarah, that this isn't good. You've got the retinopathy, you can go blind from this. It's not a good situation. Abortion is probably the way to go. Not something she would accept at all. And again, Harriet Bloch also had this illness. Said, go to this other doctor. He's a specialist in here. He'll be okay. And Baruch Hashem, Sarah, Rami, even said, not a good idea for a third. Didn't matter. Aram. Because she wouldn't let this disease take over her. She took over the disease. Kids all wonderful. And I have to say, I had very little to do with it. I had a job, took me out of town most weeks, Monday through Thursday. Marla, who raised them, that instilled into them those midos, that spirit of not giving up, the love of Torah. They turned out well, not because of me. I had very little to do with it. It was all due to her. Even the grandchildren would say, yeah, Sadie, he's the funny one, he's the silly one. But Sashi, as they called her, she was the nice one. That they saw with her the kindness, the caring that she always had. Kids, grandchildren, kids-in-law, they were her kids as well. Very special person. Because of the diabetes and the help that she had received, she wanted to go out and help other people as well. And when she was expecting Aaron, she decided that she was going to go back to school. And diet and nutrition. Not easy. 3 kids, and back to school. Got her bachelor's, master's degree. and worked for 21 years as a dietitian in a dialysis center. The part of the job that she liked was the interaction with the patients, the counseling of them, the caring for them, not just in nutrition, but anything that they needed. She saw that something was wrong, they needed help with something, she wanted to get somebody else. That the caring of people was the primary goal of what she did. And this is something she instilled upon the kids as well. Sorrow. Nurse of the Year, Lenore Park. She got her caring for people directly from Marla. Not only the patients, but strong relationships that she developed with staff and other dietitians, that even after she retired, kept constant contact with them, close relationships with them. The last 6 years or so, were difficult physically. Worked in a dialysis center and then realized she had to go on dialysis. But she always sought out the ways to make it better. Home dialysis, peritoneal dialysis, the different ways. Because she didn't let it defeat her, she sought to defeat it. Back Pesach, because of circulation issues, they had to take her leg, which for most people would just be a devastating thing, especially at her age. She never complained. She never said, "What was me?" She never said, "HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how could you do this to me?" For her inspiration, she'd watch Fox News. There was someone in there, young guy, double amputee. That was her inspiration. He could do it, she could do it. He was a young guy. He was a soldier, strong guy. She was not that strong. She was not that young. But it didn't matter. She was making tremendous progress. When she started, she had a fractured ankle. She couldn't, it was hard for her to even transfer from one place to another. She developed the strength that, frankly, she never showed earlier. Get herself up, transport, moving places, her work with the therapist, with her prosthesis was fantastic, and would have continued had she been able to do so. But she didn't let it get her down. She always found time to connect with her friends, played her Maj game every Tuesday, doctor's appointment, no, I can't have that appointment that time. I gotta be with my friends. I gotta live my life, do activities, close to people. Even though in the last few years, she was not up to or able to do much in the way of cooking and all. Friend in Boca, his father passed away. The last meal that she actually cooked was for them, for his shiva. But she prepared the meal, took it over there, threw them away. Not expecting that at all. Very close with her grandchildren. They were very close with her. We had met all of them, of course, Shia, we were there at Bris. The youngest, Lily, we hadn't met, born last January. That was something she always wanted to meet Lily. Baruch Hashem, Romy and Yocheved were able to come up just a week and a half ago, come down to Boca. We got to meet Lily, and I think that she was absolutely waiting before she could do that. Meet all her grandchildren. And as was mentioned before, she really got all her nisyonos, all her tests in this world. She met them head on, never complained. And that's I know she's going straight to Gan Eden because she suffered in this world and put up with it and never complained. So she doesn't need the fires of Gehenna. She had them in this world. She's got to go straight to Gan Eden. For me, just my partner, my conscience, my role model. She brought out the best in me. And yeah, my father thought it was going to be hard at the end. It wasn't. It was an honor, privilege to be able to help her at the end. It was never a burden. People thought she was upset that, it's too much for you. I should go to do my dialysis at the center. I shouldn't do it at home. It's taking too much of your time. It's too difficult. It was never. It was my honor to do it for her. I'd like to publicly thank Speaker Holland of Cleveland, help with meals and medical equipment, doctors and nurses at Ahuja and Moore Park, Boca Raton Regional, Marla, Anna, ask Mafila because I know I didn't do everything I should have. I was not as patient as I should have been all the time. I tried, but just forgive me. And we made this no-show for kids, grandchildren. Those, thank you.
I didn't really prepare anything to say today. Just wanted to talk really quick about how much my mother was loved and how much she loved everyone. Just in the past few days, I had so many friends texting me memories of coming to our house when they were kids, and just how accepting, loving, and caring my mother was. And my family, my wife and my kids, loved her very much. My oldest daughter, Kaylee, had a special connection with her. As my father just mentioned, we were there a couple weeks ago, and when we were leaving, she was crying like uncontrollably. We had to physically pull her away from her, and she was screaming, "Sashi, Sashi." It's like she knew that was the last time she was going to see her. My mother was a true warrior, as everyone mentioned. She suffered so much pain and just never heard anything from her. Mom, we love you, we miss you, and we know you're in a better place right now, where you're not suffering all the physical pain you're suffering.
Not a lot of correct my father, but I could point out, because I'll tell us, you're talking about Shmiya Korea, you can't compare hearing something to seeing something, so whether or not you're home Monday to Thursday, just, my father was always role model as well. Just, I mean, always making time to learn and to go to the kollel and to learn, and like just the relationships with Feitman and the Shkoll, and don't think you can have anything to do with it. You're good. More than you think. Tachnan, we say that Hashem's Rachmanis, Hashem's mercy for Klal Yisrael is Karachim al Valbanim, like the mercy a father has for his son. And the question would be, why a father for a son? Maybe a mother for a son, a father for a daughter, right? The Spitz Rachmanis, the typical mercy a parent has for a child, it would be a father for a daughter, a mother for a son. Why a father for a son? So once heard a beautiful pshat. Actually, one of the sons of Yaakov Palak, Olav Hashem, if you remember, said that that the difference is that a father knows when his child needs a patch. A father is just as much there as a mother is for a child, but a father knows when that child, needs a patch. And this is their Rebbeinu being the Karachim av Abanim, the father's mercy for his son. Sometimes the Rebbeinu says, we need to take somebody from this world, we need to give us a patch. But I really think you could take it a step further and talk about my house growing up for a minute. There are often times I would get in trouble. He definitely always deserved it. But a lot of times my father would be the one to reprimand, and then my mother would be the consoler. She would come and give me a hug and let me know that still love you, and the emes is, the truth is that Hashem is both. Hashem is, we say, Hashem should give you comfort, because Hashem is both the one that gives the patch and the one that gives the comfort. And in my house, growing up, I'm sure Rami and Sarah could attest to, both my parents, my mother and my father were there both ways. If we did something wrong, they were not going to just let it go and they tried their best. It was that's not the right thing to do. They reprimanded us. At the same time, they were there to console us as well. They're there for a hug and for all the emotional support and the tender love and care that a parent gives to a child. When they called Merish Yeshiva, Rabbi Yaakov Schneiderman, should live and be well, told them that my mother was nifteris, so it was a very quick, maybe a minute conversation. He asked me one question. He asked me about my siblings. I said, yeah, I have a brother and a sister. He said, is everyone from? I said, yes. He said, okay, Baruch Hashem. And the truth is, I think it's something that could be overlooked nowadays. We talk about, how great some of these children could be, and tzaddikim and things like that. And I mean, to raise 3 children that are, everyone is Shem Torah mitzvahs, and the grandchildren, everyone goes to, regular from school, and everyone keeps Shabbos kosher, and it's just something you can't overlook. And it's of course the chinuch, of course it's the upbringing of my mother and my father as well. But it's an incredible thing. It's an incredible schus, an incredible merit for mom's neshama that she was able to bring in 3 children and now 12 grandchildren. Every single one of them is shomer Torah mitzvahs. When I was a young child, before I knew anything about where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do, somebody would have asked my mother or father, would you be okay with a son that's going to go to mainstream yeshivas, that's going to not go to college? I'm not sure what they would have said. You don't have to answer that, but it might have been no. I'm not sure. It might have been are you crazy? What's wrong? They'll go to Mesivta, they'll go to maybe a year in Eretz Yisrael, and then they'll come back and go to college. But by the time I got to 11th grade, and probably even before that, my parents knew, and my mother was the number one supporter, my number one fan, and they supported me. I went to TELS, I went to mainstream yeshivas. I never went to college, and they were so proud of me. My mother was so proud of me, and supported me in every single thing I did. When I went to TELS in 12th grade, a few months in, I made a Kabbalah. I accepted upon myself that I was good. That I figured in yeshiva they don't serve me any chal stam. Everything is all milchik is chal Yisrael. I made a Kabbalah that when I'm in yeshiva I'll keep chal Yisrael. So I told my mother, I said, I made this Kabbalah, when I'm in yeshiva, I'll keep Chal Yisrael. I said, Mom, don't worry, when I come home, I'll have the regular Chal Stam stuff. You don't have to buy anything new from me. Well, first Dash, I came home, the entire kitchen was stocked with Chal Yisrael milk, Chal Yisrael cheese, Chal Yisrael chocolate, every Chal Yisrael food you can imagine. That was the support my mother gave me. The third mission on the fourth parak of Perek Yavos, it says, Reb Shimon says there are 3 Kesarim, 3 crowns. It says there's a Keser Malchus, Keser Torah, Keser Kahuna, and Keser Malchus, the crown of Torah, priesthood, and kingship. But then it says the Keser Shem Tov Oilo Gabehen, the crown of a good name, popularity, somebody who's well liked, that's Oilo Gabehen, that's better than all of them. And I think it goes hand in hand with the Mishnah, the 15th Mishnah, the first parak in Perek Yavos. It says, "In Kabul, it's called Ha'adam B'Sever Panim Yafis." The person should greet everybody pleasantly with a smile. And anybody who knew my mother knew that she was always pleasant, and even with all the sorrows, all the challenges that she went through, and physical challenges and emotional challenges that no one could imagine, the emotional challenges that go into the dialysis and the diabetes and the amputation and the amount of emotional challenges that goes into it. But yet she greeted everyone b'sever panim yafeh. She always had a smile. She was always happy. Sometimes I would call her up on the phone and I could tell right away she was down and upset. And I said, "What's wrong?" And she'd tell me, "Oh, nothing, she's in pain." And then she'd just start asking me about me, how I was doing, how my family was doing, how Sarah was doing. And that was the way she lived. She lived greeting everyone b'sever panim yafeh. So, I mean, she was so popular with her friends. She always did her Maj groups, I don't know how to pronounce it, and their Shalashudas groups on Shabbos afternoon in Cleveland, and always went to bingo, and she always wanted to be active, and her friends, and it was such an important part of her life. She also had retained a very, very close relationship with her sister, my Aunt Marilyn. They have a 7-year age gap, I think 6 years for another 2 months, but they didn't have to always grow up close, and not every sibling is that tight always, but if they went a few days without talking, it was like, what's wrong? Why haven't they talked in a few days? My father joked that my Aunt Marilyn would call and I'm okay, I'll speak to you in an hour or two to my mother, because she knew they would be on the phone for who knows how long. And I think it was, my mother always really wanted that reunion, that family reunion. This summer, and Marilyn, you really coordinated the family reunion, made sure it happened, and I'm sure it meant a million to her. And your cousin Hillary as well. I mean, you're always like such a major part of her family. But Sarah and I used to joke that there was more pictures on the wall of you than there was of us. My girls, they miss her tremendously. She was always fun and pleasant to be around. She was never sad or depressed because of her condition. I remember a year or so ago, my then 3-year-old daughter Miriam was, my mother she had to keep her foot elevated, she couldn't put it down, and my 3-year-old was so excited to always bring her a footrest. She always wanted to run and get Sashi a footrest. She was completely, at times she was completely immobile. She couldn't walk around really at all. She needed a wheelchair, or she needed help. But she would sit on the couch, she'd read my girls' books. And it meant so much to them, that special time they had with her. My older daughters, Yehudas and Hadassah, they would call her up on the phone and have long conversations with her. My daughter Hadassah was excited to tell her about her upcoming birthday. Her birthday, I think, is tomorrow. She's like excited to tell her. My mother asked me, what do you want for your birthday? It was always she was such a major part of my girls' lives, and my daughter Yehudas remembered her last time she talked to her on the phone. She was telling her about she's getting braces soon, and I was like, yeah, Tova. Another granddaughter also has getting braces. Sure, my son Ram Yishai also misses her deeply. 16 months old. It's hard to get his opinion. And my daughter Elka Bracha, she looks just like my mother. So, always whenever we see her, we're gonna always be able to remember Sashi. They look they look so much alike. Dad, 41 years ago, I think, I did the math, I hope I'm right, you made a commitment. I think a commitment that not many people in this world can make. I think so. I don't know that I would ever be able to make such a commitment. As you said, you knew mom's diabetes, you knew that it could be a long road ahead. And in the Welt, in the world, marriage sometimes can mean something very special. Sometimes it's limited to physical attraction, or we're just liking to spend time with each other. But by us, a marriage, we say, Harei ad mekudeshes li. You should be mikudeshes. Mikudesh is kaddish, holy, consecrated, special, something unique. And the truth is, the emes is that a marriage is not a marriage unless it brings kedusha to the world. It's about bringing, sanctifying Hashem's name, and when it comes to that, like, you stop at nothing to make it work. And Dad, you said, I want to do something kaddish. I want to do something holy with you, said the mom. And you did. I mean, you raised 3 of us, myself, Rami, and Sarah, amazingly, and the grandchildren, and you were able to bring kedusha to the world. And it's my bracha, Dad. I mean, you took care of Mom for so long, and you did an amazing job with Mom. Now she's in the best hands in the world. She's in the hands of the Rebbeinu Shalom. The Rebbeinu Shalom should give you a bracha that you should be able to continue to bring kedusha to the world. And Mom, we're sorry, of course, if we did anything, and we hope you're mindful of us for anything, and hopefully you can be a melitza yasher for everyone, for advocate for us in Shemayim, and Yizir Baruch.
I don't really have anything prepared. It's been about a few days. One of the things I was thinking about, when I was dating Sarah, was, how the in-law is going to be. Everyone worries. People make jokes, about mother-in-laws and all the time. And sometimes I say, I'm lucky I have one. She's like my mom. And I don't think that way. And I used to get some looks back, but I was really lucky. And she was a giver. She always gave, no matter what. When we first got married, and we had a lot of money. And she used to watch my oldest children in the morning. So, it's a blessing to have known her 18 years, and she'll be with me in my heart forever. And I know that one day we'll see each other again.
Thank you all for your memories and thoughts. I'd like to ask everybody if you could rise for the Kel El Malei Rachamim Shoicheim Amroimim Hamtzei Meluchane Chayno Al Kampei Ashchino V'malois Kidoshim U'Tahoirim Kizoyar Kiyamazirim Es Nishmas Malkachana Basra Pinchashol Choli Egomo Bavush Mishpachto Neidugli Nedek Stokobardos Karas Nishmoso Viganeden Tehemu Choso Lochem Alorachamim Yastirel V'Seisekno Chololomim V'Yitzor V'Torachayim Es Nishmoso Adonai V'Nachloso V'Sanuach V'Shlomo Mishkovo V'Neimar Omein. Amen. May be seated, and we'll wait for direction from the Shiva will be at the residence of Mr. Lipman, 4379 Braintree Road. Chakras is 7 a.m. Mincha Myers at 5:15. And we ask that nobody comes during lunchtime and dinner time, around 12 o'clock. Give them a little time, and dinner time around 7 o'clock.
If I have pallbearers, please step forward. Pallbearers, please step forward. Those who are pallbearers. There's any gentlemen who are going to the cemetery, please, do the honor. Step forward.
The cemetery is going to be Mount Sinai at the High Jewish Center section.
What? Show me. What do we want? Where's your car? Do you have a phone? Did you go? Yes, I
You return to your cars, family. The interment will be at the Mount Sinai Cemetery. We ask those who are going to that service, please return directly to your cars. Put on your headlights and your hazard flashers. Thank you.
Okay.